Good afternoon, everyone. I think we might have some stragglers. We have a problem when it's first session after lunch and we're in the hall furthest away from lunch. It's not too hot because I have experience of farmers in warm rooms after lunch. So I'm hoping we have plenty of challenge for you and keep you awake. Now, I have a few announcements. This is actually quite stressful for me. There's a number of things I've got to remember, so if I forget anything, I'm sorry about this. The first thing to say is, in no particular order, you've got some details from FCN, which I'm sure a lot of you will know about, on your chairs. We have an excellent document that there aren't, unfortunately, too many of them available, but there's some on the front here, if you'd like to take one. We'll obviously have got plenty of time for questions from the floor, but also we're taking questions on the conference app. So how many people have downloaded the app? Very good. If you haven't, that's what you need to do. If you go into the app, if you've now picked up your phone and looking at your phone, because I've just said, did you have the app? You can ask a question via the app. So if you go into the program, select the workshop that we're in, scroll down to the bottom where it says ask a question, and then type your question. You can put your hand up as well, which is more of a traditional method. But if we're overrun with questions, we'll go to the app. And obviously, people who aren't at conference can also download the app, and they might well be watching at home. So we've got a big light on like that because we're being filmed, which is good. So we want to make sure that we've got plenty of interaction with people who aren't at conference as well. So, first things first, thank you very much for booking into this session. I was talking to Tom Price earlier on. This is the first time that we've had a session like this at conference, which I think is really positive. If we look over the past year, the amount of press that we've had on health and safety issues and now increasingly on mental health and well-being issues, I think the time was right, certainly for this year's conference, to do something like this. So it's great to see such a good turnout. I work in the North East Regional Office, so I'll do a little bit about what we've been doing in our region, but I know there's a huge amount of work in this area going on across all NFU regions. But just touching on the mental health issues to start with, we ran a meeting in our Whitby branch just about mental health issues in June. It wasn't tacked on to anything else, that's what it was about. And 60 farmers turned up, which is a sign to me when we've got a branch area like Whitby where we're not overrun with people coming to meetings, quite honestly. When 60 farmers turned up, I think that means that we have something that we need to talk about. So that's really positive. I'll just quickly take you through the panel. We've got Matt and Rick from HSE, who are both going to speak. We've got Tom Price, who deals with health and safety issues and has organised this with his team in headquarters. And we've got Aaron Nike at the end, who's going to touch on some mental health and well-being issues. Now, I've got a couple of stats here which will come up in the session, but really made me think. And this is an overwhelmingly positive session because I think sometimes we talk about health and safety issues or mental health, and sometimes it can be doom and gloom. But actually, when we have a session like this, we can bring positives to this because this is about making some meaningful change. But that said, just one stat which really made me think just now is that in the past 10 years of the people who've been killed in issues to do with agricultural transport, about 100 people were killed in the past 10 years in agriculture and transport, but a third of those were actually killed by their own vehicle. And I think that's quite it's a stark statistic, but what it does make me think is that actually a lot of these things we can start to do with ourselves. We can make changes on our farms, and we've got some very good examples of things that have actually been led by council, which I think is really positive. Some of the things that came out of council when Health and Safety Executive was speaking around a 30 days challenge on your farm, doing something different on your farm every day to make a change. And I want you to think in this session about health and safety, but also to think about mental health and well-being, because that might be a change that we make on that topic on your farm. It might be some of your personal experience, or it might be some of the experience of your neighbours. So this is just another little job to do. You'll have seen this. We've got a place at the front to stick these things up. This is a promise. Don't worry, we're not going to come running after you to say, have you done this? But this is just to get everybody thinking, what one change could we make when we leave the room? Some of the things that we've heard about that we need to think about when we go back. Record it on the card. We had a few people coming in as well saying, what are these jackets? And then somebody said, it's free, don't worry. So everyone quickly were grabbing hold of it on the way in and then didn't ask too many questions. But we'll explain a little bit further on about what the different colours mean. But what we would like you to do is wear your jacket when you leave. We've got a coffee break after this, because if we start to make change, then people have conversations with each other. And you can guarantee that when we come out of this session, a farmer will come up to say, why have you got that on? And then you tell them, and you talk to them about what we've been discussing. So I am going to be quite blunt with people if we're running over. I think we've started on time. We've got plenty of time for questions. As I said, you can, thank you, Ollie, put your hand up if you've got a question. But if you'd like to type it in on the app and I'll read it out, then that's absolutely fine. And we look forward to a good session. So we hand over to HSE first. Thank you.